Hello, welcome back. Here we are, we've made it to week 4. We have hit on the top 3 motifs that are most traditionally or normatively employed in doing Christian ethics or ethical analysis. If you remember, with Immanuel Kant, we had the deliberative motif with the categorical imperative. We have with Sheldon, that we discussed last week, or an example of the propositional, right? This is what kind of gave birth to the holiness movement at the turn of the century. And this week we're going to be discussing Joseph Fletcher's situation ethics as an sort of a middle response to these other 2 motifs, right? And his is the relational ethics, right? Or the one's relationship to the context of needing ethical analysis is what determines what ethical mode one should choose, right? This was an ethic that was most popular in the 1960s when it came out. Not as in vogue today, but still widely applied, and maybe some of our discussions can tease out what it is about the relational motif that allows, or that has allowed it to fade in importance, or at least as a primary category. Now, as we begin the new book for next week, we're going to be moving away from the traditional Eurocentric approaches to ethical analysis and move more towards liberative approaches, things that are not as traditional, not as normative for ethical analysis in this country. That doesn't mean that these 3 motifs that we've hit so far are any way exhaustive of the other types of or ways that people in this country go about their ethical analysis. One that doesn't get hit on but is still quite important to ethical discussion, especially Christian ethical discussion, is virtue approach. This virtue approach is best seen in Alistair McIntyre's book called After Virtue, looking at how can we view what Aristotle told us in his ethics book, Nicomachean Ethics, that says the ethic that someone should choose is based on the mean of what options are available. For example, if you have an ethic of courage and you want to cultivate this ethic in a person, courage is actually the mean between foolhardiness and cowardness, right? And so to cultivate the mean, the ethic, what's in the middle, right, is how ethics should be done. And what McIntyre does is he puts Aristotle in kind of a postmodern context. So how does Aristotle relate to our world and ethical analysis today? He does that, though, in a thoroughly Eurocentric way. And if you ever get into that, if you want to pick that up, peruse it, I'd be happy to have a conversation with any of you about it. So there are other ethical motifs out there, approaches to ethics that people employ. So we've just hit on 3. Know that there are others. As we do turn this next week to more liberative approaches to ethics, we're going to be reading Miguel de la Torre's Doing Christian Ethics from the Margins. Now, de la Torre is a professed liberationist scholar with these leanings, although he will say that since writing this book, he has kind of moved on, not left liberationist ideas in the background, but moved on as though there's more to ethical analysis than just the questions that he raises in this text. But I would love to see next week sort of the interesting juxtaposition between the 3 motifs we've discussed thus far and how this one, Doing Christian Ethics from the Margins, is different. What questions are different in the liberationist approach than what we've gotten so far. So happy reading in that book and happy discussing this week, and I will see you next week. Thank you.